What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome to another tier list video. Last week we posted our first tier list in what seems like forever, and that was ranking every single legendary Pokemon. But today we are here to rank every single starter Pokemon and see how they do in competitive play. So if you guys are excited, make sure to smash the like button, help us reach 50 likes on today's video, and of course, share the video with a friend. Do that. Comment down below which is your favorite starter Pokemon and which tier list you want to see me do next as we are building up hype for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Let's go ahead and jump into it, starting off with the first Pokemon that many people not drafted, many people took with Pokemon Red and Blue, and that is going to be Bulbasaur, which is obviously going to be in the Little Cup tier. And I'll just take this minute to just say that the tier list is going to be based off of a standard S to F rankings, and then with the Little Cup as, I guess, just something there for the baby Pokemon that really don't have a place in more competitive formats. Either way, I do think that there are some solid lower tier Pokemon, smaller pre-evolutions that could be useful, but not in this case over here. Bulbasaur is definitely not going to be there. Next is going to be Ivysaur. Ivysaur as a bulky Pokemon overall is not terrible within a Violet. However, it is still definitely going to be in the F tier, while Venusaur, however, Venusaur will be flying up, in my opinion, to the B tier. Now, obviously, S tier is going to be for some of the most broken Pokemon out there. A tier is going to be for the really good stuff. But B tier, I think, is just a solid Pokemon overall that can do things both with support and without support. Obviously, with Torkoal or Ninetales, it can abuse Sun. However, in this case here, what it does best is going to be a bulky grass type and do a lot of good things that way. Next up is Charmander, again, a solid little Pokemon. Charmeleon, even worse than Ivysaur because with the stats that they have, with these second form Pokemon have, the reason why they're really useful, in my opinion, the ones that are most useful are because they're bulky. So something like an Ivysaur or a Wartortle could be really bulky. I'd actually put Wartortle at the top of this list over here, but that's kind of the point there. Within a Violet, they can do things, Leech Seed around, they can go and spin away hazards, they can Shell Smash up. Charmeleon doesn't really do any of that. So it's a little bit unfortunate there. Next up, though, is going to be Charizard. Charizard definitely belongs in the C tier, in my opinion. It's just a step below the Venusaur. It's a super solid Pokemon overall, giving you access to defog. My favorite set is whether it's Solar Power with the offense with special moves, or it's going to be the Belly Drum subset, which is such a fantastic set overall. Then we have the Squirtle, which is a ton of fun to use in Little Cup, but not in this format here. Blastoise definitely belongs in the A tier. An amazing bulky water type with Rapid Spin, and Life Dew now has access to great coverage moves on the special side, whether it's going to be Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, Dragon Pulse, and then of course its powerful water moves, but it also on top of that gets Flip Turn, and now it gets Shell Smash as well. One of my cats is here, so I'm just kind of hanging out. Hopefully you guys can't see her. I don't know if you can or not. There she is. But we're going to go ahead and continue on to Eevee. So Eevee is a starter Pokemon in Pokemon Yellow, but also in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And I'm surprised that Pikachu isn't actually on this list, is it? Wow. Pikachu is not on this list. Okay, well, Pikachu is here to be like D tier, okay? Eevee, I would say, is Little Cup. Top of Little Cup. It's such a fantastic Pokemon in LC. The fact that his adaptability is really nice. Chikorita, trash. Bayleaf, I'd have it worse than all of these. Probably like this, honestly. Meganium is D tier in my eyes. Just it doesn't have the type of bulk that you really want it to on Pokemon. It's gonna be as defensive as this thing needs to be. It's a good support Pokemon with screens. It gets access to Synthesis as well, Leech Seed. But that's really the main benefit of this Pokemon. Its typing just isn't there. Pure Grass just isn't as good of a typing as it needs to be. Cyndaquil is obviously a Little Cup Pokemon. Quilava, also a Little Cup. The fact that it has to carry in a Violet to be bulky and then it can't run boots, obviously not a good look. Typhlosion, I'll put here in the B tier, just above the Charizard. The fact that it gets Flash Fire is amazing. Flash Fire for Typhlosion is really good. The problem is its coverage kind of sucks. It gets access to, I believe it gets Earth Power, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it gets Earth Power, unless I'm thinking of a ROM hack. But it gets Fire moves that are obviously really strong. Eruption is the main thing that you're going to be going for. Fire Blast gets Extra Sensory, and that's really it. Doesn't get much other than that, which is not great, of course, but it's still a solid Pokemon overall, a decent Fire type with a Fire immunity. Totodile, S tier. Croconaw, we'll put it over here as well. I was going to put it below like this. And then we have Feraligatr. I love me some Feraligatr, but I'll put it here at the top of B tier because on its own, it doesn't have the best setup ways, or the best ways to just break. But once it sets up a Dragon Dance with the Sheer Force, it's insane. Whether it's Liquidation or Waterfall, Crunch, Ice Fang, Earthquake, Rock Slide, whatever, you have a ton of great options with the Feraligatr. And honestly, for a long time, this is my favorite starter Pokemon. I'm really big fan of Feraligatr and what it can do for a team. It just is a he's a bulky-ish offensive water type Pokemon that I think Crawdon's slightly better than, but still a very good Pokemon nonetheless. Espeon and Umbreon coming from the games with, was it Coliseum games? Espeon I'll put over here at the top of C tier, and then Umbreon I'll put at the bottom of C tier. I think Umbreon is super bad. It's just, there's so much that you could get out of a dark type, and Umbreon just doesn't provide as much, I find. It's very passive. The best attacking move it has is like Foul Play or like Play Rough, and not Play Rough, am I saying Payback, excuse me. Gets Baton Pass and Wish, which is cool, Moonlight and setup options. It's so passive, and Taunt 1v1s so easily. Not necessarily the best thing against it. However, Espeon being much faster, obviously having a, well, not as good of a typing. I think Dark is a better typing, but having more of a better stat distribution, I think, is a lot more of an advantage, obviously. Its coverage is great, and its ability in Magic Bounce, I think, is better than the ability of Synchronize, which is what the Umbreon has. So yeah, much better Pokemon in my eyes. Trico is LC, Grovyle is going to be NFE, of course, and then Sceptile. Sceptile, I'll put here in B tier because Unburdened Sceptile is insanely powerful. I think, honestly, this could be at the top of C tier as well, but I'll keep it over here for now. In general, I would put this more like this. In general, Sceptile is very strong, has a lot of decent coverage options, both physical and special, but Unburdened Sceptile is really where it shines. That is the main reason why it is this high. If it wasn't Unburdened Sceptile, I'd put it over here in the D tier. But it's decently fast, it's decently hard, it's just a good, solid overall Pokemon, like most starters are. Next up is going to be this Torchic here and this Combusken. Combusken is one of the first Pokemon I should put in D tier that's not fully evolved. Reason being, Speed Boost is a really crazy way to kind of just break, and if you can get a Swords Dance or a Bulk Up, then Combusken can do a lot of work against the team. It is pretty slow to start, only 55 base speed if I'm not mistaken, and while that's a solid thing for a base or a stage 2 Pokemon, it's or stage 1 Pokemon, I believe it's referred as, after a couple boosts, it can be kind of nightmarish. Blaziken, S tier with Speed Boost. With Speed Boost, S tier. Without Speed Boost, B tier, probably the top. But I'm going to say they all have access to all their abilities, S tier. The ability to sped up your speed for free, click Swords Dance, with the great coverage it has, close combat, Brave Bird, having Earthquake, having Fire moves, having electric moves like Thunder Punch is very powerful. Earthquake as well. Very good Pokemon over here. It also gets U-Turn now, which is amazing. I love that. U-Turn is one of my favorite moves in the game, and the fact that Blaziken gets this means that you don't know when it's going to set up or pivot out. You have to be really well prepared to handle a Blaziken with Speed Boost. Mudkip, let's put it over here. Marshtomp, we're going to pop it. I think Marshomp's actually a bit better. I'll put Marshtomp also in the D tier. You know what, I'll start doing this, because I think that these three here are a lot more playable than any of the other NFEs we've seen so far. But I do think that Marshtomp does provide a decent ground type for if you really need it. It gets access to Damp in case you're worried about explosions. It does not get Flip Turn, which is a little unfortunate. I would have loved if it did, but it's just a solid Pokemon overall, and it does get Rocks, which is cool. Swampert. You know me, I love Swampert. I think it's my favorite starter Pokemon nowadays, but Swampert in general, I would put over here in the A tier. I think that it and Blastoise, if you want to put one ahead of the other, that's fine, but I'll put Swampert for now. I think Swampert provides so much more for a team than most of the other starter Pokemons do. It can be offensive, it can be defensive, it has Flip Turn, it has Rocks, its typing is fantastic. It's easily combined with other Pokemon to just protect against its typings. Grass is its only weakness, and Freeze Dry. But what do you do against a Grass type? You just get any type of Pokemon, like a Fire type or a Dragon type, and you're good to go. Love this Pokemon. It's such an awesome mon. Turtwig. Turtwig's actually a lot of fun to use in Little Cup. Groudle, again, this is a Pokemon I've seen wall Groudons. Yeah, this is a Pokemon I've seen wall Zygardes. This Pokemon can do something. It can do something. So we're going to put it over here. Torterra, though, will belong, I think, in the C tier. The fact that it's 4 times weak to ice does obviously suck. It's a really powerful Pokemon, though. It's just its speed really hinders it, which is a little unfortunate. Next up is Chimchar. We're going to have Monferno over here in the F tier. Monferno just doesn't provide enough for a team. Unlike Infernape, which provides a ton, Infernape is going straight to A tier. I would put Infernape actually ahead of Swampert. Just barely, but I would. Its coverage is really good. It has access to Iron Fist for the punching moves like Mach Punch, Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, all those things like that. Gets Earthquake coverage, gets Rock Slide coverage. It can set up. It's really solid overall. It can be physical or special or mixed. It does a lot of good things and has U-Turn. So I love that. And it also gets Rocks and Taunt, which is really cool. Piplup, F tier, or a Little Cup, whatever. Primplup. I've seen actually Primplup get drafted, so I'll put it at the top of F tier. I don't think it did very good, so we're not going to go ahead and talk about that much longer. Empoleon. If Empoleon got Roost, oh my god, but it doesn't. I'm actually going to put Empoleon here in B tier. I think Empoleon's typing is really good. I love the typing for it. It's just a shame that it doesn't have as much of a offensive power that you'd like it to, and at the same time, it just doesn't have the recovery that you really want it to as well. Defog, however, is great. Rocks is great, and it can set up decently well with Swords Dance, Defiant, or with Agility as well. And it's priority Aqua Jet too. Snivy, that's the one. Servine can go over here. Serperior with Contrary is solid. I think it's actually better than Empoleon, but in this generation, I think that Grass is just not that good of a typing, so I'll put it in the B tier. but it's decently fast, and has Glare, has Leaf Seed. Subseed is one of the best sets on Serperior. Tepe can go over here. Pignite can go over here, and then Emboar. Emboar is, again, really solid. I like it actually a bit more than Sceptile, not as much as Typhlosion. Actually, no, I'll put it in the B tier here, just like at the very end of it. It'll be either B or C, just because the Pokemon does not have as much, I guess, what's the word I want to look for here? It's a lot harder to get going, I think. You really want to run Scarf or Bandit or Life Orb to get it really getting the ball rolling. And with a Typhlosion, it's got enough speed to make it so it's worth the while. Also, fun fact, did you know that Typhlosion and Charizard had the exact same stat distribution all around? Like, their only difference is that one has Solar Power as their hidden ability, one has Flash Fire as their hidden ability, and then the fact that their coverages are slightly different. And one is a flying type, one's not. That's it. Anyways, Emboar, super solid overall. Not a bad Pokemon, I'd say, but definitely has a lot of room for improvement. Next up is Duat. Duat can go over here, and then Samurott. Samurott I'll put in the D tier. I've drafted Samurott before. I've had a lot of fun with it. It just does not have enough going for it. It's not as good as it needs to be. It's not as bulky. It's well-rounded, and that's like the curse that a lot of Pokemon have. A lot of Pokemon like Swampert are really well-rounded. They can do basically anything. Samurott is really well-rounded as well. The issue is it doesn't excel anywhere, where Swampert, because of its typing and its coverage moves, can excel in those areas, even with the bulky distribution or the mixed distribution that it has. Samurott just doesn't have that. It wants to be more offensive and doesn't have the stats to really support that, unfortunately. Next up is going to be Chespin and Quilladin. Quilladin I've seen drafted as well, and I believe it gets access to Spikes, if I'm not mistaken. I should probably double check that. We're going to go to Showdown quickly and take a look to make sure that Quilladin actually gets Spikes. So we're going to go over here, National Dex, Quilladin, and it does get Spikes. So yeah, Spikes is really solid on that. It is something that's better than basically anything that the other Pokemon down here in the F tier can do. But hey, it is what it is. Our next one is going to be the, let me make this a bit higher. We're going to go to the Chestnut. Now, Chestnut I actually like a lot. Chestnut I would put over here, just above the Typhlosion. The fact that it's got Bulletproof to be immune to like Shadow Ball and stuff like that is really cool. Its typing is unique at Grass and Fighting, which I like a lot. It's decently slow, which is good for certain things, but offensively is really strong with like powerful Wood Hammers and close combats and all those things. But the main thing is you're using it as a defensive wall, and with Spikes, it is super solid in terms of what it does. Fennekin can go over here in the little cup tier. We have Braixen, which will go over here in the F tier. Then we have the, if this makes it a bit better, Delphox. Delphox, I'll put a bit higher than Charizard. I'll put actually at the top here. I think that Delphox offensively is really good. Its typing is solid at Fire and Psychic like Victini, but it's also pretty fast. I believe it's like 109 base speed or something like that, which is really nice. In general, its coverage is solid. It's just a Pokemon that does not meet expectations. Let's put it that way. I wish it was a bit better. It just isn't, sadly. Next up, we have the Froakie. We have the Frogadier, which I've seen get drafted a few times and can do some work. Next up is going to be Greninja, which Protein Greninja, S tier for sure. Would I rather have Protein Greninja or Speed Boost Blaziken? Probably I'd rather have the Speed Boost Blaziken. No, what am I saying? I want to say the other way around. I want to have the Protein Greninja because it already has the great speed. It has the ability to break through teams really well with whether it's Priority Water, Shuriken, or Shadow Sneak. Has great coverage on physical and special, so I can do basically anything. And I absolutely love that. It also gets Spikes and Toxic Spikes, which is really cool. Just a bit more utility than Blaziken, in my opinion. Next up is going to be Rowlets, which can go down here. Dartrix, which will go into the F tier. Decidueye has been kicking my ass lately, but it's still going to be over here, probably in the, you know what, I'd put it like this. I was like looking at it, like, you know what, where would it go? But I definitely think that above Chestnut makes a lot of sense. It's got a great typing in Ghost and Grass. Ghost definitely carries it a lot. It's got access to U-turn. It can be physical or special, offensive or defensive, gets recovery, gets momentum, gets setup, gets a ton of really good options. I like it a lot. In terms of what it provides, it's nice, just not always gonna be the mon for me to pick up. Next up, we have the Litten, which can go over here. The Torracat, which I think has definitely shown that it can be useful as an Intimidator, as a Fire type. Late in drafts is really nice. And then Incineroar over here. So VGC, this is going to be S tier, but this is not VGC. We're going to put this over here, and I'm actually going to put it all the way up here, I think. This is where I put Incineroar. Dark is a really rare typing. There are not many of them, and Incineroar being an amazing dark type is really, really valuable. Not every Pokemon is going to be a good dark type. Not every dark type is going to be a good Pokemon. So I think that having a Pokemon that is super solid, I like Incineroar, that can do a ton of different things, be offensive, be defensive, be a great pivot, have Intimidate, is really nice for a team, and with Boots being around, it makes it such a better Pokemon overall. Next up is going to be Popplio and the Brionne. We're going to have the Primarina, which Primarina I'm going to put over here into the A tier. I'll actually put it above the Blastoise. And I know in most drafts, most competitive leagues, you're going to see that Primarina would be actually higher than Swampert. However, I think that Swampert is better than Prim as a Pokemon overall, but Prim definitely does one thing much better. It's going to be breaking. It breaks extremely well with Moonblast and water coverage, ice coverage, grass coverage, psychic coverage, all these different things. Flip Turn, just a fantastic Pokemon all around. Grookey, Thwackey. Thwackey definitely belongs. Thwackey, I think, is like, honestly, I'd rather have Thwackey than Meganium. I'd rather have Thwackey than Meganium. Yeah, I think like I'm looking at it, I'd probably kind of order things a bit more like this. This can go over here. We'll put this up there, this there, and that. So we'll do something like this. I think this is more of an accurate representation. Then Rillaboom. Rillaboom is definitely in the A tier. I think it is actually at the top of the A tier for right now. Amazing Pokemon overall. Gets the ability to just set up terrain for a team to support it. Gets recovery for itself. Boosts itself up by 1.3 as well, giving it basically a life orb on its stab options. Priority in Grassy Glide, Wood Hammer, Knockoff, high horsepower. Tons of really cool options here. U-turn as well. Subseed is fantastic. A lot of really good things. Unfortunately, because it is a Gen 8 Pokemon, it is kind of lacking in terms of the what the toxic moves are. Well, no toxic on this Pokemon does really hurt in my opinion. Moving on, we're gonna see the Scorbunny. Scorbunny will go into the Little Cup tier. Reboot, which I've seen drafted often. I'll also put over here probably like this, to be honest. No, like this. I think this is more fair. Reboot just has great speed. I believe it's like 94 or something like that. And has Libero as well, which is going to be making it stab everything, which is really good. We already established that with Greninja and Protein. And speaking of Libero, we're going to see the Cinderace come here, and I'd rather have Libero Cinderace over Speed Boost Blaziken. The coverage is not as good, in my opinion, as for Blaziken, but it's such an amazing pivot. Hits really hard still, and it's faster off rip, which I really like a lot. It's just a fantastic Pokemon, and Core Change is such a unique and underrated move to have in competitive Pokemon. I like it a lot. Moving on, you're going to see the Sobble. Sobble will go over here in Little Cup. Drizzile will go over here. I think Drizzile is one of the most forgettable Pokemon out there, which sucks. I really like Inteleon. Inteleon is going to be probably, I'd say, like this. This Pokemon crits everything. It can do that. And Sniper crits with the Scope Lens and Snipe Shot is really hard. I believe it's like a 75% chance for you to crit, which is amazing. On top of that, it gets really good coverage. Air Slash, Dark Pulse, Shadow Ball, U-Turn, Ice Beam, Water moves, of course. It's just a super solid Pokemon overall and can be both supportive with screens and offensive with a setup option. Really a Pokemon overall. I like it a lot. Next up, Pikachu. With a Light Clay, I actually put Pikachu around this range here. I think Pikachu's super solid for what it provides. It's just a nice electric type Pokemon. Not the greatest thing, but with like 1 or 2 points you have left, I think it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and grab a Pikachu. Next up is Oshawott, which for some reason was not with the rest of its friends, but Oshawott will be over here. Now we get to our favorite part of the tiers, Gmaxs and Megas. So Gmax Venusaur, you give this thing chlorophyll in the sun, S tier, absolutely. Mega Venusaur, I put that in A tier. Okay, probably ahead. I put this like, yeah, I put it at the top of A tier. Honestly, I think it'd be like this. Really good Pokemon. Thick Fat is fantastic. Just such an amazing Pokemon. Where this is more bulky, and this one here, the Gmax Venusaur, is more offensive. Next up, we're going to see Charizard. Charizard is arguably one of the best Gmax Pokemon out there. I'll put it over here. Setting up Sun for itself for the... Actually, you can't even set up Sun for itself because its ability, its fire move won't even boost its Sun. So that doesn't make it a little bit of a hindrance to it. However, you get Max Airstream, which is one of the best ways to boost your speed, and that's what Charizard really needs. I like it a lot, and Boost makes it so it's not really that much of an issue. Mega Charizard X is really strong. I'll put it into the... You know what? I think Mega Charizard X is actually really underrated. I'll put it into the S tier here. Mega Charizard Y, a little bit worse, mostly because of the fact that you can't run boots. That's really unfortunate, but with Mega Charizard X, having the ability to run, or having the ability to come in and only take 25% as opposed to 50% is really advantageous. Setting up a Dragonance can be just a death sentence for this Pokemon here. I like it a lot. Gmax Blastoise. I think Gmax Blastoise is probably the best Pokemon on this list. Setting up a Shell Smash, then Gmaxing. Forget it. Forget it. This Pokemon's insane. You have to understand how crazy that is. To set up a Shell Smash, I'm not even showing my tiers. Let me readjust some things over here in my I gotta readjust a bit better. We're gonna go like this, and we're gonna go like this. This should be a bit better so you guys can see everything. But this thing here, this Blastoise is crazy. Blastoise hits so hard. It's so fat because of the Gmax. I think it's one of the best Pokemons out there, arguably the best Gmax Pokemon available. I like it a lot. Next up, we're going to see the Mega Blastoise. I still think Mega Blastoise is insane, and I think it's actually going to still be in the S tier, probably ahead of like this. Yeah, and honestly, the Gmaxes, considered in their own separate category, I think that Blastoise is the best Pokemon overall, and I'd rather have it over Venusaur and Charizard, but they're still a very good Pokemon. Meanwhile, Blastoise, Shell Smash, Rapid Spin, Recovery, Flip Turn, all these things on a Mega Blastoise with Mega Launcher. forget it. It's way too good. It's way too good. Next up is Mega Blaziken. Mega Blaziken is definitely better than regular Blaziken. I put it up over here. Part of the reason why is even though Blaziken can run an item and Mega Blaziken can't, the fact that it's got 100 base speed to start out is really good because it means you can go Adamant a lot more often rather than going Jolly to outspeed things at +1, which I like a lot. Next up, we're going to see Mega Swampert. Mega Swampert, I think, is actually worse than regular Swampert when it comes to like a standard play, but if you're definitely pairing it with Rain, it's really good. I would put it up over here overall, though. Okay. Actually, would I put it? Yeah, I put it over here. That's fair. Gmax Cinderace with Libero. Let's toss this guy up to here. Whoops, nope, there. I think Gmax Cinderace, fantastic Pokemon. It gets acrobatics, so it means you can boost your speed. It's got Libero and everything. It's got access to Electro Ball for the special way to hit these water types, which is really nice. High Jump Kick is great to boost your attack. It's got bug moves, it's got poison moves, it's got all these things that are really unique to have for Gmax. I like it a lot, very strong Pokemon. Next up is going to be Gmax Inteleon, which is, again, amazing. I think Gmax Inteleon is not as good as Gmax Venusaur. However, I think it's better than Gmax Charizard. The fact that it's got great speed, can max Airstream up, can have the what's it called? The water move that goes through. It's like a Mold Breaker water move, which is just amazing. I like it so much. One of my favorite Pokemon and the all-time kill leader for me in a single season as well, which is just absolutely amazing. Next up, though, is going to be, we'll go Gmax Rillaboom next because for some reason it's farther away. Gmax Rillaboom, I actually think it's going to be one of Pokemon in the A tier. As the Gmax in general, it's not as good as some of these other Pokemon up here that you see. Reason being is it loses the priority in Grassy Glide, which sucks a lot. However, it does get a lot of other things. It does get acrobatics, I believe, so it means you can boost your speed. You do get access to ground moves and to dark moves and to bug moves to be able to do big damage. It just does not seem as threatening to me as the Inteleon, Charizard, Venusaur even. So I'd rather have it in the A tier rather than the S tier. Next up, though, we're going to see, oh my god, is this Quaxly? Quaxly, I forget the name of this thing, but it is definitely a little cup. We're going to see what it becomes. Fuecoco is here, and then this one is Sprigatito. Pretty sure I have the names right. Let's go. All right. Now, I've not played fully through Legends Arceus. I played for 1 day and stopped. I played like 10 hours that day and just stopped. And that was like 6 months ago. More than that. It's been a year now almost. But we're going to see what we can do. Hisuian, Typhlosion. Fire Ghost is solid. We're not going to know fully what coverage it gets, but in terms of the fact that its typing is fantastic, I'll put it up over here in the B tier. It's a really good special breaker as well, which I do like a lot. Next up is going to be Hisuian Decidueye. Hisuian Decidueye, I'm going to put probably a bit lower. I'm pretty sure that Hisuian Decidueye is just not as good as regular Decidueye in my eyes. The abilities that it has are Long Reach still and Overgrow. Its attack is nice, but the fact that it loses its speed stat, brings it down to base 60, is not that good. I'm not as big of a fan as that as I would be for something like another Pokemon, because I like a Pokemon that has a bit faster speed than that, especially on a fighting type. Just my opinion. I believe that Decidueye is normally base 70. Yeah, it's normally base 70, which is again something, just not as appealing as the Hisuian Decidueye in my eyes. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that Typhlosion being 95 base speed is just not as good as the 100 base speed as well. So they got a lot slower. And then we have the Hisuian Samurott. Samurott being part dark, I believe it is in this generation here, is okay. It's decently fast, it's decently hard. It's got the same issues that regular Samurott has, which is going to be, it's kind of a little bit of everything. But I'll put it, however, a tier higher because the dark typing is so fantastic. But guys, that's going to be my tier list for this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like on the video. Let me know what your thoughts are on the tier list, of course. Comment what you want to see me do next in terms of the tier list. So S tier we got going on here, A tier still pretty filled up, B tier doing okay. Honestly, I kind of want to move this Serperior around, but we'll keep it here for now. C tier is looking kind of empty, I'll be honest. D tier makes a lot of sense, I think. F tier makes sense, and of course the little cup is, this is a little cup. This is what it is. I'm excited to see what the Pokemon over here, the Quaxly, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, the Fuecoco and the Sprigatito are going to become when we get Scarlet and Violet released in just a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching this tier list. That's what it is. Thanks for watching the tier list. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time.